My name is Gabriela Medina, and the purpose of this project is to show you some important elements used in architecture and how they are present in Venezuelan architecture and how these elements make it unique. The color. The color represents much more than just an appearance. Since we are little, we always use colors to express feelings, emotions, and so on. In architecture, it's the same. The color can be a useful element to create a feeling or an experience. Venezuela is a very colorful country in general. This is a good and a bad thing, because colors brings joy, but if there is no order in the color or is too scandalous, can produce a bad feeling for the people who see it. The good example of the use of color in architecture in Venezuela is the murals in the UCB, like the one in Plaza Cubierta, and some downtown houses in Maracaibo, for example, that use of the color to highlight this colonial architecture. A bad example of the use of color in architecture is the ranchos that are in the border of the highway. There is no order or match between those colors, and it doesn't highlight anything. The light. The lighting is one of the most important elements in the living spaces. It helps you to perform tasks more easy and also make you feel comfortable and safe. Inside lighting can be used to focus the attention to some important point of the building. In Venezuela, we have examples of the good use of light in architecture. The Anglo-Ban building in Bellamonte is one of the examples of how light can change completely a building, giving it a totally different look. Plaza Cubierta in the UCB is another example of how the light highlights important elements. The texture. The most important thing of texture is that it can divide spaces, giving them an interesting touch if you use the right texture, maybe some wall or in the furniture you're using in your design. Also, texture gives you scale. It can accentuate a plane and also can reduce the scale of a wall by increasing the visual weight of it. The black cube in Caracas has a particular texture that makes him the focus of the attention in the context where he is situated. It is covered by black ceramic, which gives him a shine that the other buildings around it doesn't have. Also, the black color is really strong and gives it the feeling of power. The ranches in Caracas is another part of the city where the use of different texture is present, but in this case it doesn't focus anything good, because all these textures disturb the vision, bothering the eye. Acoustic. As much as architecture can be considered an art, it has to take into account the fact that the design of buildings needs to include the design of a space with a great acoustic that gives you a great atmosphere while you're there. Some great example of building with good acoustic is the Aula Magna of the UCB. This is a moving space that gives you such a great feelings where you're there. The acoustic here is awesome. The panels of the ceiling keep the sound in the room. The Teatro Municipal is another great example of a good use of architecture in order to create a space with an amazing acoustic. The rhythm. The rhythm is an element really useful in architecture. It helps you to reinforce a shape and a concept. For example, if you want to design an horizontal building, the rhythm can help you to improve the design, because with the use of a pattern of columns or windows, you can create a rhythm that will help you to focus the attention in the shape. In the case of Facultad de Humanidades in the UCB, we can see a pattern of walls repeated that guide the eye to see until the end of the building, reinforcing the horizontal shape of the wall. The vertical and horizontal circulation. In a building, one of the most important things is the relation between the spaces in the horizontal and vertical directions. That's why the communication between them has to be flawless. For these communications, we can use a lot of different elements, such as bridges, stairs, ramps, and elevators. All of these elements facilitate the transportation between spaces. In the FAO building in the UCB, the experience of using the stairs is something great. Villanueva combines the use of lighting in order to create a vertical circulation that is a totally experience. Again, the ranches in Caracas, we can see the use of a vertical circulation, the famous stairs that connect the different houses in the mountain. There is an exception in one of the barrios in Caracas, that is the Metro Cable. This is a solution made by the government to the inhabitants of San Agustin. This is another way to get into the mountain that is not by the stair. Space and scale. The space and scale in architecture is really important. A good architect has to know how to work with them. The scale allows to compare and contrast the size of the spaces in edification. There is no pattern of a scale. The architect chooses the one that will benefit the project. The space is the most important element in architecture. In fact, we have the responsibility to create great spaces that have the capacity to move feelings and create experience. One of the greatest spaces in Venezuela is La Villa Planchar, located in Lomas de San Román. This is one of the masterpieces of Gio Ponti. This house combines the space and scale in a perfectly way. The experience of being there is just unforgettable. He put the entire house floating in the mountain. Besides, the use of the different scale and heights of the ceilings make this project one of my favorite ones. Finally, we can see that Venezuela is a diverse country in architectural elements. It has a little bit of everything. That's why this is such a unique country.